start with Marvin Harrison, who you cruelly had mocked to New England. You say cruelly as in cruelly for
people like me that use their first overall pick in their dynasty draft that has to happen before the NFL draft on Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. The good news
is go back and look at my text.
Happen.
I don't think I think you suggested McConkey over Pearsall. I'm going to go back and look at this. If McConkey is not as good as Pearsall, I'm blaming you.
I think you had drafted him without texting me yet.
I may have.
Yeah. You didn't get me involved until things got real difficult.
Until things got dicey. This is true.
Yeah. So you weren't even asking for advice. You were asking for being consulted for your choices.
It was like the third round. Everyone was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like,
just like, all right, who's like, whatever. I think, I don't know. We'll see. I feel good about McConkey, though. I do think he's got a higher floor.
He's got a great floor.
Great floor.
Yeah.
Great floor. I'm all about floor.
So Marvin Harrison. So I'm assuming his best landing spot is not the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's the team after them, Arizona. Kyler Murray's there. We know Kyler Murray can play. Kyler Murray can push the ball down the field. Here's the thing with Marv. Marv's best attribute, besides his ability to track the ball and the body control, is when things get hectic, he is so physically dominant over defensive backs working back to the ball. Kyler runs around forever and will take those chances. So, and you're going to see the body control on this play. I mean, look at the concentration and focus. The thing with Marv is he's such a fit in that offense because, one, he'll be the number one wide receiver from day one. Two, he'll be playing with a good quarterback and a quarterback that fits what his skill set does best.
And by the way, there's other. They're gonna have the human Dortch, Greg Dortch there. Yeah. They'll also have, they'll have Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson's a nice
really
player.
Yeah,
Michael Wilson. They have Trey McBride. So the point is obviously Harrison's going to get a decent amount of defensive attention, but less so in Arizona where there's a lot of weapons than maybe on some other teams where he would be the focal point.
Triple covered.
What are you saying about Kendrick Bourne and Juju Smith-Schuster?
Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, Kendrick. We like Kendrick Bourne here.
Coming back from injury.
Yeah.
I think the other thing about Marvin Harrison, too, is that he may just be a lot better even than he showed last year in Ohio State just because the quarterback situation was so dire. And now he's going to go to an NFL quarterback, whoever it is, particularly if it's not in New England. Like if he winds up with Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert, it could get exciting. Let's talk about Malik Nabers and Roman.
But what do they do if New England takes Marvin Harrison? Are they just go into the season with Jacoby Brissett? It's not going to be like a day two guy. There's no one good out there free agent wise.
I could see them being that team that comes back for Bo Nix.
Okay.
It's an interesting strategy.
Treading water.
Right. It feels like you're not really putting your foot on the gas with that strategy. Although I do advocate for them taking
Mac Jones again.
I think that's fair. He's a better athlete than Mac Jones.
They took Bo Nix 2 years ago. We've already seen this movie.
Yeah. I think Mac Jones got a raw deal. I think Mac Jones is a better quarterback than what we have seen so far. I think, I go back to that rookie year. I go back to, his time at Alabama, and then just the wheels fell off. There were no one around him. The offense, it was just, in terms of the change in offensive coordinator, it was just a disaster for 2 years. And I think it just got into his head. And I'm not saying he's great, but I'm just saying I think that's a kid that got a raw deal.
Bengals Andy Dalton is what I would think he could be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He should have had he's a better quarterback than he's valued at right now, I think.
2 weeks to go in his rookie season, he was favorite to an offensive rookie of the year over Jamar Chase. The advanced stats, the underlying stuff, I think he luck-adjusted EPA is the 10th best quarterback in the NFL in his rookie season. I would just worry that this previous season in particular was like his Sam Darnold seeing ghosts on Monday Night Football, where it might have just broken him. And sometimes you just don't get fixed after something as kind of calamitous as that, I guess. But who knows? Maybe he'll find himself and he'll have a chance to regroup this season outside of New England. But yeah, Bo Nix, I wouldn't think that makes a great deal of sense for them. Anyway, let's talk about Malik Nabers and Roman Dunze, the consensus next two guys after Marvin Harrison. Where are their best spots?
The Chargers, of course. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. With Roman Dunze, it's funny, I compared him to Keenan Allen. We've seen Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert, what they could do together. When you look at Malik Nabers, he is just shot out of a rocket with and without the ball. Now, this is a Harbaugh offense. This wants to be a tough, ground-and-pound, north-south kind of offense. Are they going to look to have a Ferrari like Malik Nabers? Or do they just go, we don't need to use a high pick on a guy like that? But just in terms of the best landing spot, Justin Herbert's arm, obviously Nabers is a guy that can get open at all three levels. He is so good with the ball in his hands. You could throw him a screen. You could have him work across the formation with catch and run ability. He's just electric. He really, really is. So, and you see him working down the field here as well. I mean, pairing Nabers with Herbert, I would expect Nabers to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year runner-up on the odds board, only behind Caleb Williams if that happened.
Yep.
Wow.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe my Commanders trade up to get him.
Maybe.
They got Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Recreate that.
Pull the Texans.
Yeah. Go
Pick 2 and 3.
Commanders.
Well, apparently Jaden Daniels can't throw to anyone, so apparently he's not going to work.
I will
out.
say that video we just saw where he's raising his hand. I'm open. I'm
It made
open.
you think?
And then he still had to run to get the ball. And then he still had to take 2 steps forward to get to the ball. Even
Makes you think.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yep. Oh boy. It's gonna be Marcus Mariota in Week 6, isn't it?
All right. Well,
Crying for Sam Howell's return.
What little? Yeah.
Rescind the
I didn't want to
trade.
trade Sam Howell. I was
No,
on
you shouldn't
record
have.
with that. I did not want to
don't
trade
know why
future
they
Hall
did
of
that.
Hall of
Give him
Famer
away.
Sam Howell. Give him away.
very strange.
We'll see. Very strange.
All right, well, I think at this point the consensus number 4 guy is kind of Brian Thomas Jr. Where do you think his best fit is?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I would say Jacksonville. Now, the problem is they went out and signed Gabe Davis, who kind of clogs that role, which is very frustrating. You would think Jacksonville would be a great landing spot for him. You go down the board a little bit. Like the Bengals aren't going to look for T. Higgins' replacement yet, so that's out of the cards there. I do like the Steelers, and I know people will laugh at that because Arthur Smith is there. It's Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, but there's opportunity there for him. And you look at him and Pickens, 2 big perimeter receivers. I think that would be an incredible fit. The low-hanging fruit is Miami, take him, and he's your 3rd wide receiver. But that's just too. Eventually, you got to invest in the offensive line.
Obvious. I will say that I agree with you on the fit in Pittsburgh, but also feels like Pittsburgh prides themselves on I don't know, we're going to find a guy on day 3.
And they do.
That's going to be awesome.
And they do.
They always do, right?
Their non-round 1 wide receiver drafts are amazing.
Right. So you sort of feel like that. I mean, to me, Buffalo becomes really interesting. I don't know if he lasts till Buffalo, but obviously no Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis. There's 8 billion targets available, and I know they signed Curtis Samuel. They want to have a larger role for Khalil Shakir, and obviously Dalton Kincaid, the rookie tight end from last year. So, but still, they need a wide receiver in round 1. I'm almost positive they're going wide receiver in round 1. It's just who's sort of there for them. And Thomas would be pretty interesting with Josh Allen as quarterback.
He would be great with Josh Allen as quarterback. And you could say the same for Adonai Mitchell from Texas. That's a guy that could make it there. With Brian Thomas, he just might have tested too well. And you look at the production with Mitchell, he's somebody that could make it to that 28th pick for Buffalo. And then you have your true perimeter, outside, down the field threat, great hang time in the red zone. I mean, he catches touchdowns in his sleep. He did it at Georgia, he did it at Texas. So I really like Mitchell's fit with Buffalo as well.
Yep. Let's go back to Odunze for a second because I just want to take a look at his odds to be picked in that 5 to 10 type of range. You can see right now his 2 most likely draft positions at number 6 plus 250 and then 9th overall at plus 150. Ultimately, where do you think he will end up and where would you like him to go?
So I like the odds on the number 8th pick at plus 700 because the Falcons are answering the phone for anybody to take this pick. Sure. So if you want value, you take this now.
For Jay? Would they answer the phone for Jay?
What's that
We'll give
mean?
you Jay, and what else would we throw in that trade? It's a good question.
I thought you were going a different way where I thought you were going to say that the Falcons are just going to draft another skill position player in the top 10 picks after
Or put it past them.
Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
But no, that makes sense on Odunze. It seems like he is the guy most frequently mocked to the Giants in a way. Well, I guess it depends. If J.J. McCarthy actually does go in the top 4, then they might be able to get Malik Nabers. But if it doesn't break that way and they do want to go receiver.
But and what was interesting, we didn't get a chance to go to this, but in your what you would do if you were the GM, if you were Joe Shane, you're saying you would take Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
For the Giants instead of a wide receiver.
Yeah,
they got Darren
who
Waller.
Who has not committed to playing next
he
year.
may or may not retire, but
he's
still. But I'm just curious about that. Just as we talk about potentially whether it's Nabers or Odunze, we agree that a pass catcher is needed for the Giants because other than a lot of needs for the Giants, for your Giants. But other than Jalen Hyatt, we don't really feel good about anyone on the offensive side of the ball for the Giants, especially in their passing game. So why Brock Bowers? Why the tight end versus Odunze or Nabers or any one of these kind of elite wide receivers?
Yeah, so Nabers and Marv were gone in that situation.
Right.
So it was between Brock or Odunze. Now, my argument for that with the Giants is they've had nobody through the air that scares you on this team in a long time. I mean, just nobody. That was supposed to be Darren Waller last year. He wasn't healthy. He wasn't really that impactful. Right, like it makes you.
Odell Beckham.
It makes you think. That was
Probably
a long time ago.
That was probably the last guy.
That's a long time ago.
Cut to Darius Slayton. Whoa, I'm just taking
Isaiah
shrapnel over
Rodgers?
here.
Who
Yeah,
didn't-
exactly.
Who didn't show up for workouts, by the way, so he might not be a Giant for much longer.
Exactly.
I mean, if you
Sterling
take
Shepard's good 3 games a year.
Hakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
the other Steve Smith.
Yeah.
David Tyree for one play. Right. Yeah.
I mean, Bowers is a guy that can play anywhere. Out wide, slot, backfield, inline. And then if you're the Giants, you take Brock Bowers in the first round, which they're probably not going to do that. Then you pick at pick 47, you can get a great receiver. Now everything looks, and say what you want about Daniel Jones, and I am not a Daniel Jones guy.
Sure.
But if you really do want to give him a shot this year, and you don't love the quarterbacks that are available to you at 6, that's an offense that can compete. Brock Bowers and a round 2 wide receiver from this draft would both start in that offense today.
Especially knowing that, again, Daboll loves the middle of the field. Like, that's a big part of his offense. That was part of the reason why everyone was so excited when Darren Waller went there initially. And so having somebody like Bowers, along with a pretty good day 2 wide receiver, we expect Jalen Hyatt, friend of the show, to take another step. Maybe they talk Darren Waller to come back for one more year. All of a sudden,
offensive line looks better. Offensive
line looks better as well. And Gary Brightwell breaking tackles in the backfield, or whoever the running back's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's not a great situation overall, but I think everyone is convinced that Pittsburgh's Russell Wilson, they are in a good spot. Derek Carr, New Orleans, they're fine at quarterback. Daniel Jones is just as good as those guys 2 years ago. He was very, very good in the year the Giants made the playoffs. It's just that last year he didn't have a chance behind that offensive line. It was just devolved into kind of black comedy at some point. But yeah, it seems like
I'm with you. Daniel Jones isn't great, but he's not nearly as bad as people want to make him out to be. He's fine.
I'm not drafting J.J. McCarthy in the top, moving up for J.J. McCarthy and as being the solution to the Daniel Jones problem.
Correct.
That would really bother me.
Correct.
So
if
they're picking at 2 and they take Drake May, okay. You take Jaden Daniels, okay, you're trying something different.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about.
I don't know what I'm rooting for now at 2. I'm so torn.
That Malik Nabers B-roll really broke you. I saw your soul leave just float into the light.
Well, and I've read all these underlying stats about that Daniels is more smoke than mirrors, and I don't know. I'm nervous.
He'll be fun in fantasy.
Listen, he'll great at fantasy. He should be the number 1 rookie quarterback.
More smoke than mirrors?
Yeah, sure. No? Is that not making any sense?
Throwing the flag?
Smoke and
all
mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
More smoke than mirrors.
It's very no way Monfred.
But more smoke than mirrors. Yeah. No, I just think if smoke and mirrors is it's a mirage, but if there's even more smoke than mirrors, at least with a mirror you can see something. Smoke, it's all foggy. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.